14 years ago, there was a shootout between 3 cars and an unknown group. Sonjo requests backup. Jin Man tells him there is no backup and that they will need to hold out. Jin Man is in one of the cars and it appears that the car is stuck. The guys with Jin Man continue to shoot out at the car. One of the men with Jin Man tells him that they need to get out there and that they need to help out Sonjo. Jin Man tells them that their mission is to get the person they rescued back to Korea and that it is more important than their lives. Bale has left his position and was on his way to Bravo's location. Sonjo and one of his team members are being held up by gunpoint. They are quickly dispatched by Bale, who arrived on the scene. One of the guys shot by Bale was still alive. He picks up the machete and begins to cut the man that was still alive repeatedly. This behavior seems to surprise one of his teammates. Bale tells the pair to provide backup for the rest of the team while he deals with the others. They manage to take out the guys that were hiding in the grass. Majority of the team has survived. Jin Man is told that Sonjo's team has not arrived at the base camp yet and that they have been radio silent for an hour. Jin Man and Passin head out to find Sonjo and co. Bale left the rest of the team on the roof while he goes and deals with the enemy by himself. Thinking there is something wrong, one of the guys on the roof heads down to see if Sonjo is okay, and he comes across body after body. Bale has come across some hostages who beg for their life. He takes the enemy's gun and shoots and kills them both. The shots are heard by Jin Man and Passin. The team member that was looking for Bale is in the room. It seems he saw what happened. Sonjo arrives shortly after. He tells Sonjo that Bale killed the civilians. Bale says he didn't kill them and then plants the gun on one of the enemy soldiers to make it look like they killed them. Sonjo then shoots and kills the guy he followed. Jin Man and Passin are in the building. They come across Bale and Sonjo. They see their dead team member and ask what happened. They are told that he had gone overboard trying to save the civilians. A kid appears in the doorway pointing a gun at them. Bale shoots the kid. He said to Jin Man that they can't be any witnesses. In a courtroom, it is mentioned that there was 9 civilians murdered. Sonjo was asked if he had seen any civilians in the warehouse during the operation. He tells him that he didn't see anything and that they barely had survived. He tells him that the people on the roof were rebels and not civilians. Getting nowhere with Sonjo, the prosecution asks to call Jin Man to the stand. In the locker room, Sonjo tells Jin Man that he wasn't there and that if it wasn't for Bale, he would have been dead. When he mentioned the kid, Jin Man said there was no magazine in the gun. However, Sonjo says that there could have been a bullet in the chamber. Jin Man tells his boss that the bullet that was in Song Hon's head, 45 caliber bullet. None of the weapons found on the rebels could fire that bullet. In the courtroom, Jin Man is also asked if he saw any civilians killed during the mission. Sonjo is watching the case from his cell and he looks straight at Jin Man. Before the trial, Jin Man's boss asks Jin Man if he had ever looked Bale in the eyes. He tells Jin Man that Bale has no soul in his eyes and that he has no guilt about killing someone. He then goes on to tell Jin Man that he is similar to Bale. Sonjo tells Jin Man in the locker room that the missions is more important to him than the lives of his team. Unlike Bale, who would always go to save them, Jin Man does not believe that he is anything like Bale. He doesn't like the situations in which they find themselves, but it appears that Bale likes killing. In the courtroom, Jin Man says that he didn't see anything. Due to a lack of evidence, Bale is set free. The boss tells Jin Man that the only person who can control Bale is Jin Man. Jin Man says that he will lie on the stand under one condition. Bale is not to be included in any of his missions. Jin Man is watching Bale from where he is sitting. Sonjo sits near Jin Man and says that he didn't think that Jin Man would lie in court as he is a stickler for rules. Passin tells Sonjo to shut up, which seems to annoy Sonjo, and Sonjo approaches Passin and tries to wind him up. Passin pays him little mind and tells the twins to take him away. He holds a knife up to Sonjo's neck, who dares Passin to kill him. Sonjo also takes his knife out and tells the twins to do the same. Jin Man tells them to stop and sit down, but they ignore him. Bale tells him to sit down and Sonjo stops and walks away. Bale and Jin Man has a stare down. In the office, Jin Man tells his boss to keep his promise about not having Bale included in his operations. His boss, however, tells him that there has been a change of plans. Bale will be included in his next operation, not because he doesn't trust in Jin Man's abilities, but because if Jin Man would fail in the mission, the company would bear a huge loss. He tells Jin Man that his hands are tied as it was upper management's decision. He also says there are no civilians in this mission, so that shouldn't get in the way of what needs to be done. Jin Man is told this would be the last time and all future missions would not include Bale. Jin Man is told that everyone else can die, but the man in the picture needs to be captured. He should get to the man before Bale does. Jin Man tells Bale to act properly on this mission and to listen. He also tells him that he will get their target. Bale tells Jin Man that he knows that he doesn't want him on the team anymore. He also talks about how Jin Man looked at him like he wanted to kill him when they were in the courtroom. The mission is underway and there is a lot of gunfire going on inside the building. One of the twins finds two guys hidden and tells them to get up. They are brought out into the open. Bale takes out a knife and puts it on the floor before pushing it towards one of them. They hesitate to pick up the knife. Bale says they are armed and that he is unarmed before walking towards them, grabs the man with the knife by the hair and moves out of the way when he is almost kicked. Bale then grabs him and using the hand that was holding the knife, he stabs and slices the blade across the man's chest. Once the man is dead, the other man tries to crawl away but comes across a gun that he points at Bale. One of the twins throws a knife which embeds itself in the man's head. Songjo arrives and asks if anyone has seen their captain. Jin Man and Passin are chasing their target, who is running away between shooting at them. He is now crawled into his bed, which has a pile of money, passports and a gun. It appears he was shot in his leg. Passin gets to him and pins him. When Jin Man arrives in the room, he can see a pair of women's sandals. He reports to his team that he has caught their target and they celebrate. One of the twins throws a bundle of cash at Songjo. Songjo is looking around the other room and comes across a locked steel door. He hears women screaming and when he looks he sees some women huddled together. One of the women comes to the door and asks for help. Bale tells them it will be okay and asks for a grenade. He removes the pin and throws it in the room with the women. The explosion is heard by Jin Man and Passin who go to investigate. Jin Man asks if it was Bale who did it. Bale doesn't answer and it looks like he was reaching for his gun. Jin Man draws his gun and aims it at Bale. There's a bit of a standoff of the group with guns being pointed at Jin Man and Bale. Jin Man tells Bale that he clearly told him not to act alone and to tell him if there were any civilians found. Before he could finish what he wanted to say, Bale tells him that the general said there will be no civilians. Bale walks towards Jin Man who is still pointing a gun at him. They all eventually put down their guns. Jin Man tells Bale he will be reporting it to the company and that they need to get ready for the blast of the building. The team spreads out and sets up explosives. Jin Man has gone back to the room where they had acquired their target. He sees that the money and the guns are missing from the bed. He looks in the wardrobe and a girl jumps out and tries to slash him with the knife, but he manages to dodge all of them. She falls over and the wig she was wearing falls off. She looks up and we see that it is Minhee. They look at each other for a while and he loads his gun before taking off his jacket and covering her. His team is outside and they are loading the target into one of the cars. He tells them to go ahead and that he will stay back. He tells them to keep an eye on Bale as he will be letting the company know what happened. Jin Man watches them drive off. There is 8 minutes left and Jin Man heads back into the building. He is looking for Minhee. He finds her and tells her they need to get out of there. When they leave the room, they come across Bale, who was waiting for them. Jin Man shoots at Bale before running away with Minhee. Bale finds them and shoots Jin Man. He manages to get up and tells Minhee to run, which she does. He is waiting for Bale at the top of the stairs. Bale tells Jin Man that he is a mercenary as he likes killing people and he can follow simple rules and make money. He goes on to tell Jin Man that they both get paid to kill people, so he needs to stop acting so righteous. There is less than 5 minutes left on the bombs and Bale draws his knife and it isn't long before the two of them end up in a knife fight. Jin Man has Bale pressed against the wall, but Bale manages to break free and pin Jin Man. The fight continues, with them rolling around on the floor before Bale gets up and kicks Jin Man down. Jin Man gets up and the fight continues. It looks like Bale has the upper hand at first and Jin Man keeps finding himself on the floor with Bale standing over him. Bale was about to attack Jin Man, who is still on the floor, before he is shot by Minhee. Minhee shoots Bale in the eye and Jin Man rushes over and stabs Bale in the chest. Bale tells Jin Man that if he doesn't kill him now, that he will kill Jin Man's family, friends and anyone that cares about Jin Man before killing him last. Jin Man tries to shoot Bale, but there is no more bullets left. Minhee urges them to leave as the bomb is about to go off. They watch the building blow up from a distance away. Back at work, Jin Man is giving his report. He tells them that Bale had come to help him and that they had fought together and that the bombs went off. He was close to the entrance, so he was able to escape, but did not have enough time to collect the body. He goes to the boss's office and hands over his gun. He wants to quit working for them because of what happened and that he has been working for them for too long. Songjo is in the locker room and it appears he is clearing out Bale's locker, while also looking for something that he can take for himself. Songjo is on the roof where he meets the rest of the team. They burn Bale's stuff in a barrel and then have a drink on Bale. Songjo tells Jin Man that even though it wasn't long, he still thought of them as a team and that he hopes to work with them again. Jin Man looks at them all before having a sip of the the drink. Jin Man is at the bus terminal and he notices that he is being watched. He signals to his friend to keep walking and ignore him. Jin Man calls his brother, who is cussing at him on the phone. He tells them it has been 8 years. It's the first time that he is seeing his niece. His mum is glad to see him and gives him a hug. Meanwhile, Songjo is on top of a mountain doing some target practice. He's approached by someone behind him and he rolls and grabs a gun and aims it at the intruder. He sees that it is Bale standing behind him. Bale removes his glasses and we can see the burns and missing eye from his confrontation with Jin Man. That's it for today's recap on A Shot for Killers. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and please stay tuned for the next recap.